Welcome back to Semana Spokes from Nagamba.
Semana Spokes is the platform where Wananchi engage, query the government, and the government responds. It's your time to be informed. Don't miss Bonga Nagava every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Semana Spokes.
Tembea Kenya, ujione.
Halo, habari ndugu. Unaongea na Joffrey hapa.
Habari Joffrey.
Mimi nakupigia kuhusu ile request yako ya kupata connection ya stima. Sisi tunaweza kufanyia deal, ulipe pesa kidogo tu na sisi tukuharakishie connection yako.
Utanisaidia sana bwana Joffrey.
Sisi tutafanya mambo iwe rahisi. Kwa kawaida utalipa 100,000 na utangojea siku mingi. Lakini ukitoa 20,000 saa hii, tunakuconnectia ukuwe na stima hata kesho.
Natuma saa hii.
We, hao matapeli wamekuja sana. Connection ya stima hufuata process. Hakuna shortcut. Shortcut ni ya wakora. Malipo yote ya Kenya Power hupitia channels rasmi peke yake.
We mzee, hizo ni gani unajaribu kunifanyia?
Tumekuja kuwashika, muda bosu utamulikwa. Tumekuja kuwashika.
Tonight, millions of families are facing hunger as drought hit parts of the country. We are keeping camp in 4 counties that have been affected by the severe drought. We have able teams in Kitui, Wajir, Turkana, and Tana River to bring you the untold tales of resilience and survival on the wrath of Mother Nature. Drought is one of our key focus tonight on Prime Edition with the detail and clarity you deserve. But first, the highlights. Who got the keys to the city? The State House and City Hall sign a pact to streamline the management of Nairobi City County.
Kenya Aviation Workers Union would like to call off the strike action on terms that have been agreed in the return to work formula.
No longer grounded. Planes take to the skies after the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority and aviation workers agreed to end their strike. Plus, tracing the ghost learners. DCI begins probe into the misuse of 912 million shillings meant for basic education. Good evening and a very warm welcome to the broadcast. Our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook and YouTube. I am Muchuma Odim. Our sign language expert tonight is Lucy Moura. My colleague Tomboya will be with us next week. Straight to our lead story. President William Ruto says the intergovernmental agreement between his administration and Nairobi County government is not a transfer of functions but a collaboration between the two levels. Speaking at State House, Nairobi, after the signing of the agreement under the Urban Areas and Cities Act, the president said his hands are already full running the country and has no desire to manage the capital, stating that the collaboration is 14 years late. This report was compiled by Abdihaziz Hashim.
Signed.
Give them a round of applause.
And sealed. The agreement between the national government and Nairobi County has activated Section 6 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act.
This cooperation agreement is 14 years late. It should have been in place with the advent of devolution.
The last time such a document was signed, a similar one, people had other things. But we've had copious amounts of tea.
The provision states that the two levels of government shall enter into an agreement regarding the performance of functions and delivery of services by the capital city.
That standing carries a serious obligation. A capital city must work
so that we do something extraordinary, but within the law.
President William Ruto stating that the agreement is not a transfer of functions, but a collaboration between the two levels of government.
For the avoidance of doubt, I have no interest in running the city of Nairobi. My hands are full.
This is not a transfer of functions, as happened during the NMS time, which was a misadventure that left this city with a 16 billion shillings pending bills whole.
Ruto stating that the agreement will see an injection of capital for key projects and programs.
The package we are discussing here today is a package of 80 billion shillings. Several ministries will be involved in this exercise.
The head of state noted that 1.5 billion will be invested in transformers to lower power costs for low-income households.
So I also want to ask people living in those areas, we are on the same side. You know, Mujue, we are on the same side. Hawa watu ambao wanafanya illegal connection, they are exploiting you and they are stealing from us.
The head of state noted that 1.5 billion shillings will be invested in transformers to lower power costs for low-income households.
The steering committee, which will be chaired by the Prime Cabinet Secretary as the coordinator of national government ministries and agencies, deputized by myself, and comprising of cabinet secretaries as well as county staff, will set the overall policy goals and direction.
Nawaomba ushirikiano wenu. Mawaziri wako hapa. Huu sio wakati wa kusema nani ni mkubwa kuliko nani.
The president has directed the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen to form a Nairobi Metropolitan Police Unit dedicated to securing Nairobi. President William Ruto has urged members of the County Assembly of Nairobi to pass this agreement so as to improve service delivery to the residents of Nairobi and the country at large. Abdiaziz Hashim from State House, Nairobi, Prime Edition.
Staying with the management of the city, onto a report compiled by Giverson Minor, the cooperation agreement between the Nairobi County government and the national government has raised concerns over its constitutionality, but pundits say the move may quickly put Nairobi back to order, especially under a neutral entity akin to Lieutenant General Mohammed Badi's Nairobi Metropolitan Services, NMS. During Mike Sonko's tenure. However, analysts opine that cooperation points to a failure by Sakaja's government to deliver services to the Nairobi residents.
Analysts say the sealing of the cooperation agreement was just a matter of time. Nairobi is another big slum, like Mathare, like Kibera, like wherever else. Maybe those places are better than the capital city here. And we are about to host major events, global events from AFCON 2027. So for me, this cooperation was long overdue.
Governance expert Esther Waringa says for 3 years, the county government has performed dismally in areas of garbage collection, road maintenance, and water supply, among others, necessitating the move.
Look at the sewerage. Look at the worst of it all, water in Nairobi. People in Kilimani and Ravington are buying water from the tankers. And again, look at the infrastructure development. Kilimani is almost becoming another Eastlands. Who is faring where?
She argues that bringing Nairobi back to order is often hindered by politics, and a neutral entity akin to NMS headed by the military may succeed.
I want to bring Kenyans closer to the few months that the Nairobi Metropolitan Service was actually on the ground. What did we see? A lot of coordination, a lot of discipline. Our Uhuru Park was almost becoming another international park.
However, some quarters, including the Nairobi senator, have warned that the move may be unconstitutional. Analysts say it was a mistake to make Nairobi a county in the first instance.
A public service system of governance should govern Nairobi away from a political system. Playing politics with Nairobi services is dangerous. Playing politics with a capital city that we visualize to be a continental and a global pace setter on socio-economic development.
The city will continue to be governed as a county government.
Is it cooperation or transfer of functions? Sakaja says he's still in charge. Give us minor Prime Edition.
Operations at Kenya's main airports have started to normalize after Kenya Civil Aviation Authority and aviators workers agreed on a back-to-work plan. The two parties have agreed to iron out their differences through a new channel, ending days of confusion in the Kenyan airspace. KCAA has urged passengers using local airports to be patient as it seeks to stabilize operations. The strike by the Aviation Union started on Monday at 6 a.m., affecting hundreds of locals and international flights. This report was compiled by Nduta Mokami.
The Kenya Aviation Workers Union called off its two-day strike that began on Monday morning, disrupting operations at the Jomo Kenyatta, Moi, Eldoret, Kisumu, and Malindi international airports. The industrial strike also affected operations at the Wilson, Lamu, Lokichogyo, Isiolo, and Lodwar airports. KAU Secretary General Mos Ndiema said they had successful consultations and engagements with relevant stakeholders and agreed on a return-to-work formula.
Kenya Aviation Workers Union would like to call off the strike action on terms that have been agreed in the return-to-work formula. We are satisfied with the guidance and the intervention of the government in this matter.
The decision follows negotiations with the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Labour, the Kenya Airports Authority, and the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Under the agreement, outstanding grievances raised by airport workers will be addressed through the existing collective bargaining agreement framework and a conciliation process led by a conciliator appointed by the Cabinet Secretary for Labour, Alfred Mutua. It also includes a review of the level of representation of KCAA staff in consideration of previously proposed job grades that had not been implemented.
The Ministry of Roads and Transport held a conciliatory meeting between the Union, the State Department of Labour, the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, and a return-to-work formula has been formally agreed upon. The Ministry wishes to inform all travellers and air operators that it has been agreed that the airport operations be resumed to normalcy immediately.
Further, employees in grades 4 and 5 of the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority will now be unionized, with union dues deducted and remitted accordingly. The strike had caused uncertainty for travellers, with some airlines reporting delays of up to 4 hours at the country's main airports. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano has welcomed the agreement, emphasizing the need to prevent similar disruptions in the future warning of their impact on the tourism sector and the broader economy.
We have forged a conviction that resilience can no longer remain a postscript to crisis.
Nduta Mokami for Prime Edition.
On to a story we highlighted for you at the beginning of the broadcast. The government has submitted to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations a report of an audit carried out by the Ministry of Education, which revealed the existence of 973,634 ghost learners in public schools. Speaking after leading an inspection tour of government projects, including Lenana Primary School in Nairobi, Basic Education Principal Secretary Professor Julius Bitok said 28 sub-county education directors will be investigated for culpability in the 912 million shilling scandal that saw ghost learners allocated money in the third term of 2025. Joseph Ofungu has these reports.
Speaking at Lenana Primary School in Nairobi, Basic Education Principal Secretary Professor Julius Bitok revealed that administrative action has already begun, with 28 sub-county directors of education facing action over their suspected role in allowing inflated student numbers within their jurisdictions.
I've already written letters for show cause for 28 sub-county directors of education around the country who are anticipated to be culpable, and they have to show cause why they should not be disciplined.
The announcement came as PS Bitok inspected a newly constructed classroom at Lenana Primary School in line with the government's nationwide rollout of education infrastructure to support the competency-based education.
This school is now in grade 7, and within this year, we have to ensure that the junior school, grade 7, 8 and 9, are constructed just around there.
Today what excites me is that we have found children are enjoying their basic rights to education.
Earlier, Bitok, with his gender counterpart Anne Wangombe, Fikirene Jacobs of Youth Affairs and Karen Agango of Children Welfare also visited the Center of Excellence for Urology and Nephrology, a specialized medical facility.
But it's fair that sometimes you come down here, you get to appreciate, you see, what is really happening.
What we have seen today is just but a small fraction of what this government, under the leadership of His Excellency the President, has done in this country.
Joseph Ohungu for Prime Edition.
We need our books and learn so much.
Livestock traders and pastoralists in Wajir County continue grappling with the adverse effects of the ongoing drought in parts of the country. In the livestock market, where the owners used to make at least 10,000 shillings per goat sale, prices have dropped to as low as 600 shillings. Here is that report.
Habaswein, Wajir South constituency, Wajir County. Carcasses of cows, goats and sheep are spread across several areas. This is the result of a drought that continues ravaging this part of the country. The landscape here is characterized by parched grounds and almost zero vegetation. Water sources are drying up. At the Orahe livestock market, the number of animals are dwindling, and so are the prices.
Gondo ilikuwa kama 8,000, 9,000, kama ni dume ilikuwa 14, kama 15,000. Saa hii inafika misho ile kubwa anakuja 7,000.
Getting the animals here isn't a cheap affair either.
Kuna mahali ya kulisha, saa hii ukinunua mpaka tena ununue chakula, tafute chakula kununua, na chakula yenyewe nyasi yenyewe kuna hata kununua.
Kenya Red Cross says Wajir County is at an alarm phase and requires urgent and speedy intervention.
We are having a very critical situation whereby the drought is affecting the county across all the sectors. And in this county, we are currently in alarm phase with a worsening trend.
So what is the county government doing to mitigate effects of drought?
But still, there's some areas which has some small pasture, but there's no water. So the county government is doing water tracking to those livestock which have gone far in grazing areas so they get water.
For the livestock owners here and in the larger Wajir County, the continued drought spells nothing but doom for them and for their families. Government agencies and non-governmental organizations are being urged to continue giving relief aid.
"16 minutes past the top of the hour. We are taking our first commercial break. When we return, we'll be bringing you more details with the clarity you deserve. Stay with us.
Halo, nani mwenzangu?
Yes, halo. Jambo kiongozi. Unaongea na Simon na tumeona hii shamba yako iko na nafasi nzuri sana ya kuwekelea transformer. Na sisi tuko tayari kukupea 3 million Kenya shillings kama leasing fee.
3 million? Sio ni dili nzuri sana. Na ima menenangaje?
Utatupatia 10% ya hiyo 3 million kwa rakichi installation ndio ulipwe haraka.
Hapana bana, hiyo pesa ni mingi bana.
Tunaweza anza na 100k, hiyo sikupatia wasiwasi.
Unaweza ituma wapi?
Kumbe hao matapeli wamekumark na wamepiga hesabu vile watakuingiza box. Red flag ya kwanza. Kenya Power hailipi mtu yoyote space ili kuweka transformers kwa shamba. Hakuna mtu anafaa kupigia for any deals na hakuna deals za kando kando.
Kwanza nakata hii simu na naripoti sasa.
Tumekuja kuwashika. Muda boss utamulikwa. Tumekuja kuwashika.
The wrath of Mother Nature. 10 counties are on the brink, with over 10 million people in need of food aid. Livestock is dying, and children are being driven out of schools as drought batters the nation. We go beyond the headlines with reporters on the ground in Turkana, Wajir, Tana River, and Kitui counties for an in-depth look at the evolving humanitarian, economic, and environmental impact on communities across the country. Tune in to KBC Channel 1 on Thursday, the 19th February for a comprehensive news coverage on the drought in the country.
Welcome back to Prime Edition. Continue talking to us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. Now, staying with the drought situation in the country, in Tana River County is an evolving disaster. The county is facing an acute water shortage that is threatening both livestock, human lives, and livelihoods. According to the National Drought Management Authority, NDMA, over 185,000 people, representing approximately 50% of the county's population, need relief food. About 515,000 heads of cattle have been affected. This report was compiled by Kasichana Masha.
The rainfall deficit in Tana River County has resulted in widespread crop failure, lack of pasture, and increased pressure on water resources.
The current drought situation in Tana River started after the poor performance of the long rains, that is the March, April long rains, which were below normal, and then also coupled with the poor performance of the short rains, October, November rains.
This has forced pastoralists to migrate. Isa Mohammed, a livestock keeper from Gururi, has sought refuge in Buradera, 30 kilometers from his home.
Tunashinda kwa hii nini kwa jua. Tunakota tupatia na mkono nyata nyasi ndogo ndogo. Kama 30 hivi sasa wamekufa.
Na unakuta hawa watoto sasa hata wamekosa masomo yao kwa sababu wana move na ile mifugo yao na watoto hakuna mahali ya kuachwa.
Survival of his livestock is dependent on leftover maize stalks within the Tana irrigation scheme.
We, the farmers of Tana irrigation, have been affected by all these livestock because farmers, livestock keepers, they bring inside into our farm in order to graze.
Isa is not the only victim.
Ngombe ambayo ilikuwa tunauza 60,000, 50,000, tunauza 5,000, 4,000, ndama kidogo tunauza hata bei ya kuku.
But how did this arrangement come about?
Kwa hivyo ule mfugaji anakuja,
anaelewana na kiongozi ambaye amepatiwa hiyo jukumu, wanaelewana kwa kila eka watakuwa natoa ada kiasi gani.
The National Drought Management Authority in Tana River County says the drought situation could end up in the alarm stage if the rains fail again.
Short rain season of October, November and December and the expected depressed rainfall during the long rain seasons of March, April and May is expected to create apprehension among both farmers and livestock keepers in Tana River County. Reporting from Tana River County for Prime Edition, my name is Kasichana Masha.
Staying with the drought situation in the country, we now cross over to the county of Kitui. My colleague Nancy Okware is on that bit. Nancy, good evening.
Well, a very good evening to you, Muchuma Odim. We are coming to you live from Kitui town, right here in Kitui County. We have been here since Monday, just following up on the drought situation in the country. As we know, Kitui County is one of the counties that have been affected by the ongoing drought that has so far affected over 3.3 million people. Now, I'd like to paint a picture of what we found on the ground on Tuesday as we went into the various parts of Kitui County. For instance, we started off with an area called Musenge in Kitui South. It is one of the areas that have been affected by the ongoing drought. It is about over 100 kilometers from Kitui town. On our way to that area, we noticed that the farmers had planted their crops, hoping that the October, November and December rains would be adequate. But unfortunately, we witnessed failing crops because they did not live up to expectation due to the failed rainfall, meaning that the farmers who depended on that for their livelihood were unable to harvest anything. And in fact, we were told that the last harvest that has been a bit fruitful in that county was in May 2025, meaning that the farmers in this area have been forced to survive with whatever little they had harvested in May for around 9 months. We also noticed that there is a problem with water because on the way we could see, donkeys carrying jerry cans in pursuit of waters. And of course, it is just to show you how dire the situation is in these counties. And also we could spot water pans that these area residents depend on for their livestock and of course for their crops had dried up. And of course the situation is a bit dire because even the riverbeds that are usually full when the seasons when it is in the rainy season, the waterbeds had already dried up. But amid all that, we could see some people who are unable to travel for long distances in search of water. They were trying to to fetch water in the riverbeds by digging up the riverbeds just to get the water that is stored underground, just to show you how dire the situation is in this county. And now when we got to Musenge town, that is in Kitui South, now there's a different story because right here, apart from the area residents battling the ongoing drought, they are also battling cases of insecurity. We know that the area for years now, it has been facing the issue with illegal herders that are said to be from the neighboring Tana River County. They are said to be driving their camels into the farms, destroying all the crops that the farmers were hoping to harvest and of course to feed on during this season. It is a dire situation because it is now a deserted town. We only met a few people and they told us that during the day they are there, but at night they are forced to go into the bushes to hide because any minute the herders, the illegal herders, camel herders, invade their farms. And of course, we also went with them to the bushes where they spend their nights with their children. It is a tough situation because they are forced to sleep there at night without food. They have to look for food and at the same time ensure that they are safe and that they are sleeping in, makeshift structures that they have, put up in the forest. We also visited one of the schools in that area, neighboring the Musenge town, and that school has, pupils, primary school children, and we talked to one of the teachers who told us the situation is so dire because any given day, out of around 20 pupils, only 2 have food. When it's lunchtime, you find that 20 pupils, only 2 of them have food, meaning that the rest do not have food. It is a clear representation of how dire the situation is. We also saw, some, animals, some livestock being auctioned, perhaps with the farmers afraid of what might be coming. They are not sure if the rains are going to be adequate. We expect that the rains are going to, commence anytime in March all the way to April. But if that does not happen, the livestock farmers are taking precautionary measures just to ensure that they do not incur further losses. These are some of the stories we'll be filing, and of course we'll be updating our viewers on Thursday when we'll be airing our comprehensive bulletin on the drought situation in the country. For now, we will continue traversing the Kitui County just to assess the situation, and of course we are going to be speaking to duty bearers just to see what are some of the measures that have been put in place to ensure that the families affected are cushioned from further effects of the ongoing drought. But for now, it's back to you, Muchuma Odim, in studio.
Thank you, Nancy Okware, for well-detailed updates from the county of Kitui. These 10 counties are largely affected by the drought situation in the country, and KBC Channel 1 is keeping a close eye in several counties. This as we look forward to the Thursday bulletin that will mainly focus on the drought situation in the country. Remember, we have able teams across the country, so be sure to keep it KBC Channel 1. From the drought situation, let's now shift to a presidential bit. President William Ruto has challenged universities across Africa to move beyond addressing continental challenges and take a leading role in solving global problems. He was speaking while presiding over the first graduation ceremony of the National Intelligence and Research University in Loresho, Nairobi, where 31 students graduated with master's degrees.
African universities have been urged to position themselves as global centers of knowledge and innovation.
The development of high-quality human capital with a capacity to create new knowledge.
President William Ruto says institutions of higher learning must generate solutions not only for the continent, but for the world. 31 students graduated with master's degree from the National Intelligence and Research University in Loresho, Nairobi, more than half of them from across Africa. The diversity reflected on the university's growing role as a continental hub for strategic research and cooperation.
No country can proceed or can develop beyond its knowledge.
The institution, which received its charter in 2024, focuses on security and intelligence studies, areas the president says are critical to Africa's development and stability.
Preparing strategic leaders for a complex world aptly captures the realities of security challenges confronting Africa and the wider world.
During the event, they launched the African Journal of Security and Strategic Studies, a publication expected to influence policy and research on emerging threats. Reporting for Prime Edition, I'm Aaron Marie.
Kitutu Chache South Member of Parliament Anthony Kibagendi has been suspended from the House and barred from enjoying any privileges in Parliament over remarks he allegedly made on Tuesday against the National Assembly and its Speaker on a television morning show. While standing on a point of order, Laikipia North Member of Parliament Sarah Korere called out the legislator, accusing him of claiming that the Speaker had auctioned the House to the executive. The remarks angered members of Parliament, led by Deputy Speaker Gladys Bos-Shilei, who censored Kibagendi for disparaging the House.
Honorable Speaker, I therefore seek your guidance and intervention on this matter, particularly on whether the Honorable Kibagendi ought to continue to sit in this House and in its committees, as he should be held accountable for his disparaging remarks.
It was rather unfair and unbecoming of a member of Parliament
to cast aspersions on the character of the speaker without knowing that the speaker, full well the speaker, was not going to have an opportunity to defend himself.
Honorable Kibagendi, you will be excluded from the sitting of this house until you bring a properly worded apology, not to me. I'm used to being insulted. To the House. To the House. For bringing the House in disrepute, and that apology should be delivered to the clerk. It will be looked at carefully. If the wording is acceptable, then it will be brought to the House and you will be allowed to come back to the House.
Civil society groups are demanding immediate investigations into bribery allegations at the heart of the Senate and Governor standoff, warning that corruption is crippling service delivery and threatening the very promise of devolution. The Kenya Devolution Civil Society Working Group says what appears to be a power struggle is in fact corruption fighting back. Ben Chumba reports.
The working group accuses governors of resisting oversight, while alleging some senators have demanded bribes to influence audit outcomes. They want the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to move swiftly and make their findings public.
What we are experiencing presently is actually how corruption works. You know, it's about governors refusing to be held to account and then shifting the blame. And those are the shenanigans that we in civil society would want to end.
The group says billions allocated to counties cannot be properly accounted for, citing repeated audit queries, highlighting fraud, abuse and financial irregularities.
When this money goes to private pockets, it simply means hospitals go without drugs. It simply means doctors are not being paid their dues. It simply means teachers and the schools do not have capitation. The person who bears the brunt is the ordinary citizen, is Wanjiko.
So this is why we are saying this is a call. We cannot do it on our own. Even the citizens should be involved. Anywhere you hear public participation, participate, so that you can also come and even question your governor. When you go to that budget and you see an amount of money was allocated to something that is not making sense to you, call it out.
In a bold proposal, civil society is demanding observer status in Senate oversight committees and full public access to Public Accounts Committee proceedings to end what they describe as a culture of secrecy.
There are senators who moved from Senate to become governors. Their governors, upon completing their terms, are going to Senate. Yeah, that's a political practice that we must find a way of curing, because that's how we end up perpetuating leadership anchored on party manners.
As investigations are called for, the question now is whether law enforcement agencies will act or whether the power struggle between senators and governors will further erode public trust in devolution. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Spring Festival, with its origins in the last days of winter thousands of years ago, when every family lit a welcoming fire. Today, that welcome is brought to the stage of the CMG Spring Festival Gala. This is where it gets cool. When the future meets timeless Eastern aesthetics. This is where we feel the warmth. When every voice has a story to tell, and every voice is heard. And this is where the celebrations heat up. When the excitement blazes across mountains and seas. In China, around the world, wherever you are, when the CMG Spring Festival Gala begins, you are coming home.
Kenya is playing her part by hosting two exemplary and exceptional Olympians in Kenya who are using their legacy to actually empower girls through sports.
I believe education is powerful, and I think the more women can learn and empower themselves, that was my first really big milestone.
Education was priority, and then your athletic pursuits were going to have to come in second place.
The girls' capacity in this country is limitless. They can be absolute change makers, and I think believing in themselves, using the communities around them, and lifting each other up.
If you're driven and you have a belief in yourself and you know or are curious about a direction, keep pushing, keep driving, because you will find the people who want to support that.
Thank you for keeping its Prime Edition. Welcome back. Onto politics. The Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, John Mbadi, has dismissed claims that he is eyeing the Homa Bay gubernatorial seat in the 2027 general election. Mbadi, who met with the Luo Council of Elders Kibra chapter, clarified that he has no intention of returning to county politics, instead revealing ambitions to vie for the presidency in the future. The Cabinet Secretary also defended holding political meetings at the Treasury, describing the building as a public office, and challenged critics questioning his engagements. At the same time, Mbadi called on a faction within the Orange Democratic Movement, led by Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, to engage the party leadership and formally present their grievances and proposals ahead of the polls.
Nairobi is the epicenter of politics in this country, and Nairobi gives direction to the rest of the country. And whatever the Luos in Nairobi say, the Luos in other places will most likely also say the same. But after dealing with the issues of Nairobi, we will also again embark on visiting other towns in the country where we have significant presence of the Luo community.
These are the agendas we agreed. Number one, efforts to keep ODM united, intact, and have impact in the political scene. Agenda number two, how we, the Luo elders, can mobilize huge support to the broad-based government.
From politics to tobacco amendment bill reactions, a section of Nairobi traders has urged the Senate to reject proposals seeking to ban flavored tobacco products under the Tobacco Control Amendment Bill 2024, currently before the House. The business community operating under the umbrella of the Bar, Hotels and Liquor Traders Association has warned that the proposed sanction threatens to cripple their enterprises by pushing consumers towards contraband alternatives and promoting illicit tobacco products trade in the country. This report was compiled by John Kahiro.
The Tobacco Control Amendment Bill of 2024, currently before the Senate, has sparked criticism from members of the Bar, Hotels and Liquor Traders Association.
One of the things ambayo tuko na shida nayo sana ni ya kwamba ilipitia through public participation that we were not involved.
Sponsored by nominated Senator Catherine Muma, the bill proposes, among other measures, a ban on flavored vapes and nicotine pouches, arguing such products are attractive to minors.
Banning flavors in these products will immediately open doors to a flood of illicit products in the country as the market seeks to produce the genuine products which will have been locked out because of the ban.
The traders also raised concerns over a possible increase in illicit tobacco products.
Why are you banning flavors? Hizi products mpya ambazo zimekuja zinasaidia mtu ambaye anavuta sigara ili maafa ya kuvuta sigara ipungue.
The association has now called on the Senate to reject the bill in its entirety and instead consider strengthening already established legal frameworks guiding the production and the sale of tobacco and nicotine products in the country.
Tayari, we are struggling to pay the licenses that are there. So ukiongeza another license ni kumaanisha unaumiza biashara ya ule mtu yuko pale chini.
Senators are expected to consider the proposals and make necessary amendments at the committee stage. John Kahiro for Prime Edition.
On to security concerns, 5 suspected robbers were lynched by residents at Drought in Soin sub-county, Kericho County, after allegedly kidnapping a man who had withdrawn 1.1 million shillings from a bank in Muhoroni, Kisumu County. Police said the victim was accosted while on a boda before the rider raised alarm, prompting a chase that ended when locals blocked roads and cornered the suspects as they fled on foot. A toy pistol, a walkie-talkie, and a different number plate were recovered from their vehicle. The bodies were taken to Kericho County Referral Hospital mortuary.
They have 2 number plates. Yenye walikuwa nayo huko Muhoroni ndio hii. Another one has been recovered from the vehicle which has been vandalized. This one ni toy pistol resembling a revolver. We have a walkie-talkie here. Walkie-talkie itafanywa tu uchunguzi na watu ya DCI.
On to other developments, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has issued 105 title deeds and 20,000 shillings as a step-up kit in the resettlement exercise of Mai Mahiu flood victims that left over 60 people dead in April 2024. The floods were caused by a blockage in a railway tunnel, which led to a massive surge of water, mud, and debris cascading downriver, displacing more than 100 families.
Addressing the victims at Mai Mahiu town, the Deputy President promised that all the affected families will be resettled, with the first phase targeting 105 landlords. Kindiki directed the Ministry of Land to seek more land to resettle the 56 tenants who were also affected and were not on the original list of beneficiaries.
Familia zote zitapata pesa ya kuwasaidia kujenga. Wale walikuwa wamekodisha, wale walikuwa wamejenga. Na leo hiyo 20,000 for family ya kuwasaidia kwenda kujenga 461 families. Mimi naacha hapa.
Lands Principal Secretary Nixon Korir said that the ministry acquired 230 acres of land which the landlords will get their share, while another land had been set aside for schools, markets and hospitals.
Kila mtu mwenye atakuwa na title yake by kesho jioni atakuwa ameonyesha shamba yake, aweze kufence shamba yake na aweze kujenga. So planning ilifanyika vile inafaa. Tumehakikisha kuwa mabarabara ziko ya kutosha kwa hiyo shamba.
The victims, led by Bernard Kamau, who lost 2 sons in the incident, lauded the move, saying it was long overdue as the families had undergone untold suffering. However, they called for investigations into the incident. They denied that the tragedy was an accident, but a failure by government officers working with Kenya Railways.
We have requested the government to investigate and tell us what caused the tragedy, and also the properties that were lost in that tragedy, and the measures they have put in place to ensure the same does not happen again.
Ametuahidi kuna wengine walento pia watapatio, kila mtu apatio plot moja. Watukuje watusaidie kama ni kujenga juu sasa kama sisi wadhiriwa vitu zote zilienda na hatuna kitu ya kujenga.
The DP was accompanied by Lands Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome, Principal Secretary Nixon Korir, Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika, Bahati MP Irene Njoki, several MCAs and other leaders. Michael Mondiga for Prime Edition.
Kenya has launched a national carbon registry as it seeks to position itself as a global hub for high-integrity carbon credits at a time when scrutiny of climate offset markets is intensifying worldwide. During the launch in Nairobi on Tuesday, Environment, Climate Change and Forestry Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Baraza said that the carbon registry will serve as a centralized system for tracking, authorizing and reporting carbon generated across sectors, including forestry, renewable energy and land-based carbon storage.
Valued stakeholders, a robust, transparent and an inclusive carbon registry that reflects Kenya's priorities and aspirations, that aligns with rights to access to information.
It is Kenya's formal handshake with the world, a guarantee that our carbon credits are backed by the full authority of the state. And therefore, this registry captures the full spectrum of Kenya's ingenuity, from the carbon held in our soil to the renewable energy powering our cities and bringing it into a single, unified light.
Without such a system, a single ton of carbon could be claimed twice, undermining our credibility in international markets. Communities at the front line of conservation often received little, while the true value of our hewa kam leaked away through opaque arrangements.
Onto the corridors of justice, Judge John Chigiti of Milimani's High Court has certified as urgent a case seeking to compel the Judicial Service Commission to install disability-friendly facilities in courts countrywide. This after Sharia Mtani filed a case on Monday urging the suspension of all court sessions until the courts comply and fast-track the installation of ramps, lifts, handrails, guiding rails and accessible laboratory facilities. Details in the Scales of Justice segment with Ruth Wamboi.
In the petition, which has been certified as urgent by Nairobi's High Court, lawyer Shadrack Wamboi wants persons with disability-friendly facilities across all courts in Kenya. The petitioner claims rights of persons with disabilities to access justice at Milimani's law courts has been infringed, and those rights ought to be adequately and progressively realized.
It has every division: criminal, magistrate, children's court, family division. All those courts are not accessible.
He argues PWDs, including advocates, litigants, and judicial officers, continue to face significant barriers in accessing open courtrooms and other physical facilities due to the lack of adequate mobility infrastructure. Justice Chigiti has set the case for February 24, 2026. $1,200,000. Elsewhere, a man has been charged for defrauding a foreigner over 223 million shillings in a fake gold scam syndicate. According to the prosecution, Stephen John Waisu allegedly conned Tana Cook the said money by pretending he was in a position to sell him 2,880 kgs of gold. Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
Let's now take you to the counties. The Independent Electoral Commission, IEBC, has decried the low number of Kenyans turning up to register as voters. This and more stories make our county's headlines.
Speaking at a training on elections and community security in Murang'a, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Regional Liaison Coordinator Saumu Chirchir said the voter registration exercise will be centralized to the wards to enlist more people.
The Commission will be rolling out the ECBR Phase 1, and we will be going to the ward-based registration, and that means we will reach them.
In Kwale, the business community has lauded Coast Region Police Commander Ali Nuno for taking stern action against juvenile gangs.
Waendelee kuzitisha patrol vile wanaendelea na hizo operations ambazo region alisema. Mimi naomba siendelee. Kwanza waendelee sana wakati kama huu wa Ramadhani. Tunataka wenzetu Waislamu wakifunga wafunge kwa amani na sisi tukae na wao kwa njia nzuri.
Still on crime, Residents of Njunu area in Dumberi Ward, Kiambu County, have accused officers at Kanunga Police Station of lethargy in curbing burglary incidents that have spiked in the last 3 months.
Wanaingia kwa nyumba, zingine wanakata mabati, zingine wanafuja murango, unawapata wako ndani. Kwa hivyo tungeomba tu serikali yetu na security watusaidie.
Elsewhere in Uasin Gishu, Governor Jonathan B. has warned unscrupulous dealers involved in the sale of fake fertilizer.
Tumepata mtu mwenye anachanganya mbolea na kuweka mfuko tofauti tofauti ili kudanganya mkulima. Tunataka kusema hapa Uasin Gishu tuko macho na hatutakubali mkulima wetu wowote adanganywe, alagaiwe na hao watu kwa sababu wanataka pesa mingi wakati moja, safari moja.
In Kiambu, residents of Kimende in Lari constituency have protested against the upsurge of illicit brews that have caused several fatalities in the area.
Mambo ya dawa za kulevya, kuletea pombe ambayo ni mbaya. Kama sikiza, acha nikwambie. Hapa tunapewa watoto wetu wanapewa dawa za kulevya kama sweet, kama peremende.
On conservation, efforts to restore degraded sections of Kakamega tropical rainforest have received a boost following a partnership bringing together the French Embassy, the Wangari Maathai Foundation, Kakamega County Government, Kenya Forest Service, and local communities. In Migori County, livestock farmers stand to benefit from improved skills following the construction of a livestock training institute in Awendo.
It is going to positively bring a lot of impact into this area in terms economically. Yeah, people here, our people are going to get employment here. Apart from employment, business people from around here, even during construction, are going to do a lot of business here.
And over 2,000 learners with disabilities from 847 educational institutions across 47 counties have benefited from an education scholarship worth 59.27 million shillings, courtesy of the Ustawi Scholarship Program.
Tunataka hawa watoto stakeholders, sisi tukikuwa miongoni mwao, kushikana mikono ili kuhakikisha kwamba hawa watoto wamesoma vizuri, hawa watoto wako na nafasi yao katika jamii, hawa watoto wanatambulikana hata katika kazi wapewe na wasaidiwe, kwa sababu ni watoto viumbe ambao wamezaliwa na lazima wakuwe integrated into the community.
Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Joy Naomi.
What happened? Sunshine just came in there and yelled at me. Did you tick him off again?
Enough, New Life.
Why aren't you sleeping?
I'm busy, studying. Can't let Dot sit down. And I want to show Sunshine how wrong he is. Lynching Dian's class is a personal matter. We'll cover all his night shifts. That follows protocol. I don't care who comes to work. I just care about the guests.
Can't gamble with love. When it comes to star-crossed lovers, it never ends well.
When did you start to marry kids?
When did I start?
When did you start to marry kids?
I don't marry kids. I marry mature women.
Who brought you that child, my daughter?
Who brought you that my daughter?
Hey, who brought you? Wewe ndio unakifanya vile unachua sana.
Sijifanyi.
Wewe ni pipi yangu.
Arda.
Anakuuliza wewe ni pipi yangu.
Mimi siwezi kuwa bibi yako.
Very good. Kuna mtoto yako tulipeana.
Si ni wewe ulikula deposit ya mtoto.
Si wewe na hiyo mtomo yako ukiniambia tuose huu mtoto tupate pesa.
Mimi saa ngapi?
Kawena.
Mwezi wangu atarake muntoke ngakiringanga.
Wewe mzee, mko na watoto wangapi? Wewe na huyu bibi yako?
Mwezi tuko na watoto nani?
Na
Thank you for keeping it Prime Edition. Time for the business news. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, that is IGAD member states, are rooting for a harmonized illegal fishing mitigation strategy. Fisheries and Aquaculture Acting Director, that is Joseph Mahonga, says Kenya is struggling to enforce illegal fishing laws and regulations due to inadequate funding, monitoring and surveillance technology.
Kenya loses an estimated 40 billion shillings annually to illegal fishing activities as it struggles to enforce illegal fishing laws and regulations. The State Department for Blue Economy says efforts to curb illegal fishing are hampered by inadequate funding, monitoring and surveillance equipment challenges.
IUU fishing continues to be an ever-present threat due to the inadequate capacity in the form of physical resources, technology and the skills to be deployed in the fight.
This has fueled unsustainable fishing practices, leading to declining population of valuable species and loss of biodiversity in Africa's large marine ecosystem and inland waters.
Fishing is just unequivocally we can provide a term that probably it is an ecological sabotage of an industrial scale.
To curb illegal fishing activities, development partners have been encouraged to enforce the ban of trade of illegal fish in global markets.
A single state solution to combating IUU fishing is not feasible. The incidences being largely transboundary in nature. Therefore, this calls for a coordinated regional effort towards combating this menace in African waters.
IGAD member states lose an estimated 1.3 trillion shillings annually in illegal fishing. Benson Grioba reporting for Prime Edition.
And the government plans to support 1,200 small and medium-sized enterprises and create over 50,000 new jobs by the year 2030. Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Principal Secretary, that is Susan Mangeni, says in the next round of support through the Kenya Jobs and Economic Transformation Project, the government is keen on unlocking Kenya's economic potential through linkages in the manufacturing sector.
The 19 billion shillings Kenya Jobs and Economic Transformation Initiative was launched in 2025 in partnership with the World Bank. The plan spans a 5-year period ending 2029.
For KJET, we are building the competitiveness of existing enterprises. They're already existing. They could be owned by young people, or they could be enterprises which are there but they are focused on creating more jobs.
The government says it is mobilizing the private sector to cluster up and apply for the project, which has a component for green enterprises.
Because our scale is MSME, you find one enterprise cannot do much, but you can aggregate them, bring them together to achieve the economies of scales.
The Kenya Jobs and Economic Transformation Project is structured around MSME competitiveness, green financing and climate resilience, and project monitoring and evaluation.
We will then co-invest. And what do we mean by co-investing? We put in 70%, up to 20 million Kenyan shillings, depending on their needs, the investment needs, financing needs, and then they put in 30%. So that's why they must be existing.
Players have proposed a raft of recommendations to accelerate growth of the manufacturing sector.
We want to support the SME in the manufacturing sector, and that's why we are collaborating closely with the ministry and the PS to see what else can we do to support the growth of SMEs, from the youth to incubators to new innovations, and scale the SME angle.
The Kenya Jobs and Economic Transformation Project targets enterprises involved in edible oils, textiles, dairy and construction materials.
Now, Kenya is set to host the 2026 World Farmers Organization annual meeting in Nairobi in what is seen as a major boost for the country's agricultural sector. The global event, set for June 8th to 11th, will bring together farmer leaders, policymakers and investors from across the world. The meeting is expected to attract delegates from more than 60 countries. Speaking during a meeting with the organization, Secretary, that is Mutahi Kagwe, said farmers remain at the center of economic transformation. He noted that modern farming must focus on income, youth participation and the use of technology. The Nairobi Forum will also focus on financing for farmers, digital innovation, soil health and fair global trade.
Sustainable agriculture, organized and
Farmers Federation, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, is expected to attract delegates from more than 60 countries.
It is an honor for us to host the farmers, and you should feel extremely welcome. And you feel that as farmers, the farming is the most important activity in our nation.
The annual meeting General Assembly, a moment where all our members from more than 60 countries around the globe, 85 national farm organizations, women and young farmer organizations as well, come together and set and design our policy and position that becomes the tool in which we bring the voice of the farmers where it must be heard most.
Speaking during a meeting with the organizers, CS Mutahi Kagwe said the event is a sign that farmers remain at the center of economic transformation. He noted that modern farming must focus on income, youth participation, and the use of technology.
What we are trying to do here is infuse two things in our farming ecosystem. The first one is we want young people to go into farming, because we are getting older and older. And the second thing is that we want farming to be technology-based and science-based farming.
We have a real issue of generational renewal, and not only here, globally. Globally, we have a problem of having young farmers being drawn to a profession that should be among the highest in the globe. Feeding the people is probably should be the most noble, and we have seen it during COVID era. Everything stopped, but not the farmers.
The Nairobi Forum will also focus on financing for farmers, digital innovation, soil health, and fair global trade.
Today, we are in an era that everyone is talking about food, and so few people knows where the food comes from. We have cook, we have chef, we have young people, everyone playing with foods, and it's fantastic, but there should be more there. There should be shown the sweat and blood that farmers put every day to produce.
Noelongeso for Prime Edition.
And Kenya is wooing investors from the Republic of Kazakhstan who are looking to invest into the country's digital economy, leveraging Kenya's clean energy, robust ICT connectivity, and a skilled workforce. Speaking during a Kazakhstan-Kenya Business Forum, Broadcasting and Telecommunications Principal Secretary Stephen Isaboke says Kenya's status as the Silicon Savannah opens doors for investors to tap opportunities in many other affiliated sectors of the country, such as in agriculture, mining, manufacturing, infrastructure, among others.
All those innovators I saw presenting from the Kazakh side that are interested in the digital hubs, any digital sort of investment and tech investments are very welcome to Kenya.
Your partnership is a bridge that allows Kazakhstan business to navigate East African market and vice versa for Kenyans to explore a huge market in Central Asia and beyond.
And welders will be certified based on their skills, empowering them to secure formal jobs locally and globally. This is courtesy of a partnership between Kenya Bureau of Standards and the Kenya Industrial Training Institute that also targets to mainstream quality assurance within the training curriculum for specialized welders to help them build a broader and more competent skill base. Kenya Bureau of Standards Managing Director Esther Ngari underscored the role of certification in enhancing quality workmanship.
The Kenya Bureau of Standards is reviewing international standards on organizations' environmental management systems and the auditing management system to require local institutions put in place predictable structures that conform with best international practices. The new revision is expected to empower institutions to tap both local and foreign direct investments due to accountability and sustainability of businesses.
You are not just building your brand, you are building brand Kenya. You are adding another stone to the foundation of a national reputation that will open doors for Kenyan businesses for generations to come.
Organizations are taking control of how they interact with the environment, ensuring that there is responsibility, no waste, reduced waste, also ensuring that efficiencies in resource use is incorporated into our management system.
The revised standards will also incorporate ethical artificial intelligence use in business operations.
What is happening across all of ISO is to ensure that even when you're using AI, you're using it responsibly. And so it is anticipated that we cannot escape from artificial intelligence when we are implementing our management system.
Local institutions are being encouraged to adopt the new certification to access markets across the borders.
Kenya's seat at the global table is being set. Let us make sure we are ready to take it.
The ISO standards are also earmarked to reduce the cost of running and de-risking businesses due to efficient business structures. Benson Grioba reporting for Prime Edition.
And that story brings us to a close of the business news this evening. Daniel Wahome is coming up with the day's sports. My name is Betty Kiptum. Good night.
Halo, habari ndugu. Unaongea na Joffrey hapa.
Habari Joffrey.
Mimi nakupigia kuhusu ile request yako ya kupata connection ya stima. Sisi tunaweza kufanyia deal, ulipe pesa kidogo tu.
When the deal is too good, think twice.
Lakini kitu moja inanitangaza na wewe. Hii ni kuhatarisha maisha yenu nyi wenyewe na pia ya wale mnaenda kutokea kwa manyumba zao.
We are diving into the mind. Stay vigilant to get safely and legally connected to the power grid.
Koti hii imewapata na hatia na mkiwa mkuridhika na uamuzi wa koti mko na siku 14 za kurudisha apili.
Shortcut ni ya wakora. Malipo yote ya Kenya Power hupitia channels rasmi peke yake.
We mzee, hizo ni gani unajaribu kutufanyia?
Tumekuja kuwashika. Muda boss utamulikwa. Tumekuja kuwashika.
The wrath of Mother Nature. 10 counties are on the brink, with over 10 million people in need of food aid. Livestock is dying, and children are being driven out of schools as drought batters the nation. We go beyond the headlines with reporters on the ground in Turkana, Wajir, Tana River, and Kitui counties for an in-depth look at the evolving humanitarian, economic, and environmental impact on communities across the country. Tune in to KBC Channel 1 on Thursday, the 19th February for a comprehensive news coverage on the drought situation in the country.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sport. And the 12-man squad of Kenyan professional golfers will be at the 57th edition of the Magical Kenya Open have been unveiled as the country prepares for one of the biggest events on the sporting calendar. The unveiling ceremony was held at the Current Country Club with the DP World Tour set to tee off on Thursday this week.
This year's tournament will feature a full field of 144 players from more than 30 countries. Kenya as the largest international contingent with 18 players, 12 professional and 6 amateurs. The team features a blend of seasoned professionals, elite amateurs and rising juniors. The full Kenya squad comprises of Greg Snow, Samuel Chege, Joroge Kibogo, Dismas Indiza, Mutai Kibogo, Daniel Nduva, team captain Edwin Mondanyi, CJ Wangai, Justus Madoya, Mohit Medirata and Mike Kisa. Officials say increased participation in regional and international tournament has strengthened the squad's readiness heading into the DP World Tour event. Initially, 10 players were submitted to the DP World Tour, with additional reserve slots expanding the final list to 12. The 2026 Magical Kenya Open tees off from February 19th to 22nd at Current Country Club, setting up 4 days of competition as Kenya players look to make a strong impact on home soil.
Moving on is that Egyptian giants Al Ahly will face Esperance of Tunisia in the biggest game of the quarterfinal stage of the CAF Champions League after being drawn together in today's draw held in Cairo. Al Ahly progressed to the last 8 as group leaders with 10 points, finishing 1 point ahead of Morocco's AS FAR. The Egyptian champions will play the first leg in Tunisia between the 13th and the 15th of March, while the second leg will be played in Cairo 1 week later. In another quarterfinal, the other quarterfinal matches, Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa will face Stade Malien of Mali, Berkane of Morocco will play Al Hilal of Sudan, while AS FAR of Morocco will meet Pyramids FC of Egypt. In the CAF Confederation Cup, Egyptian side Al Mazri will play Belouizdad of Algeria. Moroccan side OC Safi will meet their counterparts Wydad Casablanca, as AS Otoho of DRC will play Zamalek of Egypt, and Maniema Union of DRC will take on USM Alger of Algeria. And Paulos Andemariam has officially assumed office as the new president of the Council of East and Central African Football Association, CECAFA. Paulos, who is also the president of the Eritrean National Football Federation, was elected unopposed for a 4-year term during the CECAFA elective General Assembly held in Djibouti 10 days ago. While assuming office, Paulos promised to focus on financial transparency, integrity, and improving regional competitions, particularly in preparation for the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations to be co-hosted by Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. His term begins immediately.
My target is one, to make CECAFA best in terms of its football governing, as well as to unite all the members associations that we have. We have 11 plus 1, including Zanzibar. And the second aim or mission that we have is to improve the secretariat that we have.
And the Sports Journalist Association of Kenya has condemned the harassment and physical handling of a Kenyan female sports journalist named Raquel Okidor, better known as Rix. And this was by security personnel on the final day of the HSBC Sevens Division 2 tournament held at the Nyayo National Stadium. Rix was physically mishandled at the entrance of the stadium, and following the incident, SJAC has continued to insist that the safety of all journalists at sports venues must be prioritized. In a statement, SJAC emphasized that journalism is not a crime, and a sports venue must never become a place of fear for accredited media professionals. SJAC insists that in cases where journalists are deemed to have violated venue regulations, the matter must be handled in a procedural way. That means that the security personnel must call the media officers, and it should never be a physical confrontation in any way. That was the dark side of the HBC Sevens for me as a reporter. I mean, I was on the ground. I mean, anyway, I have a new name in the Sports Journalist Association of Kenya Group. My name is Daniel Wahome. Back to you, Irene.
Thank you, Daniel Wahome, for the sports bits. Very interesting news items from that end. Earlier on, we had Betty Kiptum, and she was bringing us the business news. On that note, we come to the close of Prime Edition. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your feedback on our social media platforms. For more details on aired items and many more, do log on to www.kbc.co.ke. Our sign language expert tonight is Lucy Mwaura. I am Muchuma Odim. Good night. God bless you.
Sahi, ukidial star 419 hash option 4 ama uingie kwa tushinde.com, hakuna pro box. Jaribu.
Ni ukweli. Yaani nimeshaingia na ndio tunafieka. Pia inaona iko ndani. Wanaongelea nini hao? Ni shamba. Na sio moja, sio mbili, shamba 3 hapa Juja. Very nice. Na ni area moja development na growth iko promising sana. Stima iko ndani. Hiyo. Maji